Hey guys, today I'm going to share with you how to make meatballs in sour cream gravy. And this recipe includes tender meatballs smothered in a rich, creamy, tangy gravy that I know you guys are going to love. And my version uses baked meatballs, which is a much easier method to cook the meatballs up. And I don't cook meatballs any other way. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, here I have 1.5 pounds of ground beef. When it comes to meatballs, I usually like to use ground beef, but you could use ground pork, ground chicken, or a mixture of beef and pork. So to that, I'm going to add teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. I'm also going to add 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs, and then 1 beaten egg. Go ahead and beat that. And then I'm also going to add 1/2 grated onion. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grate this up. Hopefully there will be no tears right now because I diced the other half of this onion earlier and I could not control my tears. And as always, when you're using a grater, be careful not to cut your fingers because I've done that. So I'm just gonna leave this chunk and not be ambitious and try to grate it all up. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that right into our meat mixture. And then, using my best utensils, which are my hands, I'm going to mix everything until it's well combined. All right, so now that the mixture is all nice and mixed up, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a bit of it and just roll them into about 1.5 inch meatballs. And you wanna be careful not to over mix. Oh yeah, I have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper here, just to make up cleanup a little bit easier. And you don't want to over mix your meatballs because then you'll end up with tough meatballs. And baking them in the oven is just so much easier than rolling them up and then have to individually fry each meatball. Whereas baking them, you just throw everything on a baking sheet and they bake up all at the same time. And it's just skipping that frying step makes this recipe so much easier. And this is how I make all my meatballs for all of my meatball recipes, if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. Actually, I just remembered, while you're doing this, you want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven. Yeah, you don't want to forget that because then you'll have to wait for your oven to heat up. And this is also a great make-ahead meal. Well, not a make-ahead meal, but you can also prep this beforehand. You could prep your meatballs beforehand and then go about your day. And when you're ready to make the sauce, go ahead and bake these up in the oven. And yes, it'll lighten the workload for you later in the day. But honestly, this really is an easy meal to put together. Some people get turned off from making meatballs because it looks like a lot of work, but it really isn't. Once you get the rolling down, it comes together very quickly. And you guys will know what I mean when you make this recipe. Okay, so I'm done rolling up my meatballs. This recipe makes approximately 18 meatballs, and I just rolled them up really quickly. My oven's not even heated to 400 degrees yet, so like I said, this is a very quick and easy recipe. So once the oven is heated up, I'm gonna go ahead and place them in the oven. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on our mushrooms. Okay, so here I have 8 ounces of cremini mushrooms, and I'm gonna go ahead and slice them up. And this recipe is different from my Swedish meatball recipe. If you guys wanna check that out, I add mushrooms to the gravy, which gives it a nice meaty texture. And then instead of heavy cream, we're going to use sour cream. And then I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice into the gravy, which is going to give it a nice zesty flavor. And it's kind of different. I feel like you guys are really gonna love this recipe. Now that my oven came to temperature, I went ahead and placed the meatballs in the oven. We're gonna bake it until it's completely cooked through, so that'll take about 20 minutes. And then while that's baking, you wanna get the sauce ready. So the ingredients we're going to be using for the sauce is we're gonna need 2 tablespoons of butter. I have the other half of the onion diced up. I have 3 minced garlic cloves. I have 3 tablespoons of flour. I have 2 cups of beef broth. I have some lemon for some lemon juice, about 3 tablespoons we're gonna be using. And then I have some sour cream to make it nice and creamy. Okay, let's head over to the stove. All right, so we are ready to get cooking. I have my pan heated over medium-high heat. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter and get that melted down. And once that's pretty much melted, I'm going to add in the mushrooms, along with the diced onions and the minced garlic. Actually going to lower the heat down to medium. I'm also going to give everything a good seasoning of some salt and pepper. And I want to cook this down until the veggies are nice and softened. So this can take about 5 to 6 minutes. All right, it is looking good. It's been about 6 minutes. Our veggies are now softened. I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle in the flour and just mix it until you no longer see the white powder. All right, I'm gonna go in with the beef broth. So go ahead and mix everything up so that it creates a nice smooth gravy. Now I'm going to add some lemon juice, about 2 to 3 tablespoons or to taste. It's going to give the gravy some bright, zesty flavor. It's going to be so delicious. I'm also going to season our gravy with some salt and pepper while we season along the way. And I'm going to let this continue to cook for about 3 minutes to get our gravy nice and thick. All right, it's been 3 minutes. Our gravy has thickened up nicely. I'm gonna lower the heat all the way down to low, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stir in our sour cream. So we got a half a cup of sour cream here. Go ahead and mix it. Doesn't it look so good? I love when I add some type of cream in the sauce and it just makes that swirl. All right, it's time to give it a taste to make sure our seasonings are on point here. Perfection. And our meatballs are done baking up in the oven, so we are gonna go ahead and add them to the sauce. So I went ahead and turned off the heat for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the meatballs to the pan. And I promise you guys, this is like such an easy recipe that I know your family's gonna love. I know I say that all the time, but really, this is so delicious. All right, so I've added all the meatballs into the gravy. I've turned the heat back on just to get it simmering for just a little bit. And then just gonna go ahead and just smother these meatballs with this delicious gravy. I am really excited for the taste test, especially today, you guys. This is looking so good. As I was transferring the meatballs, it took all the strength in me not to eat one. And there you have it, you guys. Meatballs and sour cream gravy. It doesn't get any better than this. All right, you guys, it is time for the taste test. And some ideas to serve this up with, because it does make a good amount of gravy. The gravy would be so delicious over some mashed potatoes or some rice. Okay, I am ready to dig in. Oh, my spoon just like slid into the meatball. I already know it's gonna be so nice and tender. So I've got a good amount of gravy, some mushrooms, a big piece of the meatball. All right, cheers, you guys. Sorry, my windows are open and they have been cutting trees down all this week. So I don't know if you guys hear that background noise. But anyways, I am so pleased on how this dish came out. The meatball is just so tender. The mushrooms give it a nice meaty texture. The gravy is just so rich, it's creamy, it's bright and zesty from the lemon juice and the sour cream. It's delicious. Please don't just make this, bake the meatballs. You're gonna love this method. Like I said, once you try making the meatballs, you're gonna realize it's so much easier and you're not gonna wanna make meatballs any other way. Anyways, thank you for spending time with me in my kitchen. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, click on that like and subscribe button. That will definitely help me out. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, you guys.